We're going to have a look at an event taking place in the foyer of Glór this Saturday, where it'll be coming alive with poetry, music and storytelling as part of the Clare Poetry Gathering. The event's going to feature open mic sessions, live music from Alan Jordan and Denis McAuliffe, and a special guest reading from the poet Mallika McCarthy. And she is with us this morning, as is our fellow poet and member of the steering committee for the collective, Amanda Shannon. Ladies, a very good morning to both of you.
Morning. Thanks for having us.
Amanda, these are, I suppose, the Clare Poetry Gatherings and collective events in Glór are very regular and very popular, but and tend to have special guests as well. Talk to us a bit about this one coming up on Saturday and getting Mallika on board.
Yeah, I think that there's a pre-established relationship that some of the poets will have. I'm obviously a newbie, so I always am interested in what everyone else has to tell or say. So we always agree on things. We throw up suggestions, and it was Deborah as well, who you've met before. She was like, "Oh, I think this would be a really good idea." And whenever someone's like that in the group, we're just like, "Yeah, go for it," you know. And obviously, I got to see Mallika perform at another performance recently as well. So I'm like really excited for Saturday now to see what she's going to share with us.
Very good. What are you going to share with people, Mallika?
Okay, I'm going to correct you first. So it's Mallika.
Oh, Mallika.
That's all right. I do this every time, so I'm completely immune to changing.
I was trying to make it sound more exotic.
Mallika. Yeah, exactly. Mallika is my name. What am I going to share with you? Poetry. I'm also a singer, but I tend to. This is me wearing my poetry hat. Glór did say she's a poet and a songstress, which is in my bio, but sort of leaned on songstress. So I may bring.
So if I got the name right, you're poet, songwriter, storyteller, performer.
Yes. My stories are personal, although I weave all sorts of stories. I grew up on a very healthy diet of fairy tales and mythology. So my father was very much a storyteller, not by trade, but just by nature. So it kind of runs in us, I suppose. My poems would be very personal, but I also draw a lot on mythical themes, natural themes, etc. I have a book that I brought out, was actually last year, even though the date says 2024. But
Wild Light of the Heart.
Wild Light of the Heart, yeah. So I'll be reading from Wild Light of the Heart. And also I'm super prolific. I just write a lot. So I've got loads of new poems as well. So I might weave in a little bit of melody as well. So yeah.
Wow, you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck there, Amanda.
We definitely
good to get Mallika on board.
Yeah, and I think like I said, Deborah is very. I suppose she's involved in so many parts of the writing field in Ennis. I suppose she gets to know so many different performers and writers. I think that she really was spot on to suggest Mallika for us for this one, for sure.
You're challenging Mallika in terms of having fingers in various different creative pies. You were also involved very much in music.
A
tiny bit. So just a tiny bit. So talk to us a bit about Alan and Denis. They're going to be performing as well.
Yeah, I haven't actually been lucky enough to see them perform before, but again, it was Deborah who was mentioning about their art. So I had a tiny look online, but I know that they're quite used to collaborative work. And I think as well, I suppose West Coast will be well represented on the day. I'm really excited to see them. And I think that, as always, I think what happens with us when we blend the music with the poetry, there's always a room for sort of creating some sort of ambient temperature in the foyer of Glór, and I do think that they'll be bringing that sort of element, which I think will join very well with Mallika's type of poetry as well.
So look, there's going to be a lot on offer, and I wonder, Mallika, your view on like the Clare Poetry Collective and collectives like that who just continue to do great work in ensuring that poetry gets an airing, gets a platform, certainly within this county to to showcase poets, be they experienced or novices, and have other creative elements coming into it as well, like the music.
Yeah, I mean, I'm relatively new to the Clare Poetry Collective, so I know I've met and seen various poets perform within it. But in terms of poetry collectives, in terms of writing groups and poetry collectives, I think that they're very powerful things. I think poetry it goes to our human need to express. I think poets and artists, writers, musicians, etc., are storytellers, and I think we tell our personal stories, but we also tell cultural, global stories. And I think that's a very important role. So to nurture and foster that, within community is not only important, but it gives a vibrancy. And I think it keeps us as humans alive. quite a bit,
sure,
says I dramatically. But yeah, I think it does.
No, it's so true. And I think some of the audience members can be quite young as well. And I think that that's really amazing because we've kind of maybe moved a little bit away from the fireside. It's become a little bit more public. And I suppose there is that reshaping happening. I'm really grateful that we get to use a space like the foyer in Glór and to have that support there. I think that being in a committee that's really focused on maintaining and nurturing talent within the county is something I'm super proud to be even a tiny bit a part of.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to go from having a professional career in another area, but when you move into your artistic voice, your artistic space, you start to maybe understand a little bit more about how important it is to cultivate that, not just for yourself but for everybody around you. So it's a great experience for me, just from even just the organisational aspect, to feel I'm doing something for others. It's great.
Yeah, great to hear that there's a youth element as well, knowing that I guess that there's the future of poetry in the county safe. There's young people to be inspired by it and get involved in it, and I suppose take the baton and bring it forward. I'm
sure that we would love to do something even with a younger audience, to be honest. I know, like, within funding streams and stuff, you do have to be really careful around child protection, so that's something we as a collective, I suppose, will have to look at in the future. How do we maybe nurture that specifically as a aspect too of the collective? But no pressure to the committee there saying that out.
Okay, so for people interested in heading along on Saturday afternoon, what is things looking like in terms of the run of events?
So yeah, kind of as usual, you'll have the sign-up sheet will be there. It's usually around 12 p.m. onwards, 12 noon, that we kind of start seeing people come in who might like to sign up for that. Look, if someone's running a few minutes late, it's not the end of the world. The music starts at 12:30, and then we have Mallika from 1. And I guess, then people are invited if they'd like to read a poem. There's, as I say, it's on the website as well on Glór if they want more detail, but definitely it'll be kind of the usual finish by 2, just to honour the space and kind of how that works on a Saturday as well.
Okay, brilliant stuff. I'm sure it'll go very, very well. And thank you to both of you for joining me in studio. Mallika McCarthy
so much.
and Amanda Shannon, thanks for joining me on Morning Focus.